All right. Well, welcome, Feed the Hunger friends. It's time for another exciting, at least I hope you call this exciting, edition of the webcast with Joseph and Scott. And we just want to thank you guys for just your prayers and your partnership. We finished up 2024. It's already February of 2025, which is super hard to believe. And it's been
Yeah,
a
we
great.
blink, January's gone, just like that.
Yes. But 2024 was a phenomenal year. God grew the ministry once again. He gave us a lot more opportunities for outreach, and we encourage you to stay tuned. In about a month from now, you should be receiving our annual ministry report, where we get to brag about what God has done and what you've done through your giving and through your prayers and how God's used that. And so, Joseph, if you just had to maybe name a couple highlights from last
hmm
year, what sticks out to you?
Well, I mean, certainly it would be the move, would be the first thing. And then also all that took place in Western North Carolina and is still taking place right now would be the two main things. Packing the most meals we ever have in a year and just being able to distribute so many Bibles. And I always try to emphasize that every meal and every Bible is given out very purposefully. It's not just, we gather a crowd and hand out Bibles or we hand out food.
Right.
It's very strategic process through our partners.
That's exactly right. In fact, our philosophy, at least we speak internally and use the terminology, we want every meal to matter. We want every Bible to count. And that's really a good way to look at it. So we are filming this or recording this at least the week leading into our Packathon retreat. It's something we've been doing for several years, but we do it every other year. And this is an opportunity for us to bring in together various point people or strategic leaders of food packing events from around the nation. So we'll have people flying in this week from other states. We'll certainly have a strong representation here locally from North Carolina. But it's a really special time where our staff can be with them, and we discuss and just share great ideas about how we can improve the packathons, how we can get more people involved, pack more meals to impact more lives. And it's always a special time to learn from each other. I think that's um, one of the aspects of this event that the participants really appreciate, is just hearing the great ideas that other folks are doing in their towns, in their communities, to lead great packing efforts. And so we're excited about that, and we're really excited to welcome those people, and we look forward to a great weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great time, iron sharpening iron, just the fellowship of being with people that you're on the same page with, and once again, we always stress to these partner churches, especially that, we're an extension of your church. We're not a replacement for it. So when your mission is succeeding, our mission is succeeding. And so, the Packathon it just brings people together like few things I've ever seen. And so to be able to meet with these locations, these point people, and to just encourage them and be encouraged by them, yeah, it's a mutually beneficial time together. So we're really looking forward to it.
Right. Yeah, I always enjoy it. I say at certain locations that I get to go to on a repeated basis that it feels like it's a family reunion, that they get to see the same leaders, at that particular time that they pack. So it's fun to kind of bring multiple different families together. And we really appreciate these event hosts because, almost all of them are volunteers, that they're doing this either with their church or through their business or school. And it's quite an ordeal to arrange a great packing event, and they do it so well, and they do it with passion and purpose. So we're looking forward to that weekend.
Yeah, and as Scott said, when we go to their events, it does feel the bond only increases, and we're very intentional in trying to send often the same staff to the same events, because it just strengthens that partnership even more, and because genuine friendships have been formed. And I think that's why we have so many churches, or one of the reasons why so many partner with us every year is because that bond is strong. And of course, this retreat only helps it become stronger.
That's right. Well, Joseph, we have teased this for most of last year.
I know what you're going to say. Yes.
and we get to say,
I think it's been longer than a year, actually. I think it's been at least a year and a half.
Right. And so we get to say, finally, our oatmeal food packet is a reality. It's arrived. And so why don't we just give an update on our oatmeal packet, Joseph?
It is like in the last 20 minutes, the final ingredient finally showed up at the headquarters. The dehydrated apple that has caused us to nearly lose our religion is finally here. But we're very excited about it. We're hopeful because right now, no one overseas or in America has tasted it. Only the staff have tasted it. And so that's why we need to make it for a few months and get them on a pallet of these on each container going forward so that we can really get some positive feedback. But we're really excited because at the retreat, Packathon retreat this weekend, it'll be packed for the first time, and then several events in the coming days we'll be packing it. And so that we have several containers slated to go out very soon. So we're excited to go ahead and get this apple cinnamon oatmeal on these containers.
And it'll be like several of our food packets, for some of these nations, it'll be a different taste for them. But even the unique packets that we've done, it's all been well received, and it's been enjoyed by those who haven't had opportunity to eat pasta before or eat soy before. And so we're expecting the same with this apple cinnamon oatmeal. It's just a good variety to add.
Yeah, I think we mentioned before that obviously oatmeal as a staple is known around the world, but it's known by different names like porridge. But what is not as well known is maybe sticking fruit in it or having the flavor of seasoning. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before, but when I was in Ukraine talking with our partner Vitaly about this meal packet, this was September of 23. Okay, so we already know this has been talked about for a while. And he said, well, cinnamon, it'll be interesting to have cinnamon because it doesn't really exist in our country. It's only starting to exist because of coffee shops that are copying, Americanized coffee options. So, but as we recall, Scott, when we were just doing soy and rice all those years and starting in Haiti, very foreign taste. We saw those Haitian ladies who were the cooks at the school literally picking out the grains of the soy and cooking it separate because the kids were like, what is this stuff? But now, as you and I know, some of these kids have been on this food a decade, and it has become their main meal that they actually now feel estranged from when they don't have it, right? Because they miss the taste. So we're not trying to, alter people's culture, because they can, of course, add the flavoring of their culture to it. But we're hopeful that this will go well.
That's right. Yeah, and so we're packing it this weekend, and one of our guests this weekend is Brian Toll, who is one of our lead partners in Kentucky, and he is coming here for the Packathon retreat to share his ministry with these strategic Packathon host leaders. And so we're looking forward to that. But we also thought we'd take advantage just to let everybody get to know Brian a little bit better. And so Melinda Staples, our chief ministry officer, had a chance to sit down with Brian and just ask him some questions about his ministry and what he's doing, and give us an update on the great things God's doing in Kentucky. So let's watch that.
All right, well, thank you so much, Brian. We're here with Brian Toll from Harlan, Kentucky. And Brian, thank you so much for taking the time and coming and be with us and share a little bit more about your ministry.
Yeah.
So many people we've shared about Kentucky, taking teams to Kentucky, taking food to Kentucky. Well, Brian handles all of our food distribution in the Kentucky, Harlan, Eastern Kentucky area. And Brian, if you could just share a little bit about Christ Hands and what you do there and how Feed the Hunger works in your ministry.
Yeah. Well, it's good to be here. Thank you for the opportunity today to talk about our partnership. It's been a blessing to work with Feed the Hunger. We try to focus on putting the food in the school systems through the Frisch Centers. A lot of need there in the backpack programs. It's not the only need in the community that we're able to meet with your product, but we're thankful for that main source. We also use Feed the Hunger product in the backpacks that go, food boxes that go into the homes.
And how many food boxes are you talking about that you make?
About 600 food boxes a month go out the back door at our facility, and about half of those have your product in it, so about 300. And then we work with probably 10 other churches that make food boxes themselves, and we help source some of their product, and so they share with that source of Feed the Hunger as well. And so I would say on average, we're looking between 700, 800 homes get this product probably every other month. So about 400 a month probably.
Well, that is a lot.
Yes.
A lot of people you're feeding. And why is this such a great need in your area to provide these food boxes? I know that the coal mining industry has shut down up there, but what else is going on to cause such a impact? Yes.
Yeah, well, Harlan's not unique in the situation. A lot of you out there listening probably have communities just like ours where the drug epidemic has really removed a generation of parents from our communities. So we have grandparents raising grandchildren who are living on retirement incomes or something like that. And so going to the grocery store on a regular basis is a challenge. And so this product really assists them in feeding their grandkids that they're raising on their own. We also have a lot of single parents out there, both husbands and wives who are now raising their students or children alone. And so on one income, it's hard to feed a family. And we're thankful to be able to be part of the solution that Feed the Hunger is in that way.
But your ministry is so much more than the food boxes. Could you tell a little bit about Christ Hands and what you do up there and how teams could go and be a part of this?
Yeah, we do host volunteer teams. Love to do that. Christ Hands offers a soup kitchen where we do Monday through Friday breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Always good to have folks come and help us cook or serve that meal. We also do food pantry, as we already mentioned. We pack food boxes all month and then distribute those the third week of every month. That's a good week to come all year long. It's third week of the month to help us do that. We also facilitate groups to come and do home repairs. We can recommend families that need assistance, and we try to put you in the right place at the right time to do some small home-related tasks for folks, whether it be securing their doors or floors that need replaced. A lot of access issues in Eastern Kentucky with folks who are disabled getting into their own homes. We're involved in that. We've got a warehouse where we distribute a lot of goods. And so going through clothes, going through donations, helping us get those delivered sometimes. We do that when we need to. And so there's lots of ways that we can plug you in, and that's just a few of the things. We can connect you with the local church to do evangelism or street ministry. We do have a homeless population that we try to provide necessities to, life choices that they've made. Make it a challenge to minister to them sometimes, but we're thankful for the opportunity the Lord has given us to talk about the gospel.
That's wonderful. You do so much at Christ Hands and have such a wonderful volunteer team. But one thing I've noticed about you, Brian, is that you just have a passion. You have a heart for serving the Lord. And how did that all start? Where did that come from? Were you raised this way through your parents instilling that within you, or?
I am. My story starts before me. My parents from the same hometown, kind of in Indiana, but they met in college and asked the Lord to send them to the mission field. And in the mid-'70s, early '70s, the mission field was always international, and so they'd hoped and dreamed that would be where they go as a young couple. And God sent them to Harlan County. Excuse me. And so they spent their entire teaching career in Harlan. So I was obviously born and raised there. That is my home. Thankful to now be there again after college and have my own family being raised in Eastern Kentucky. And so I say that's the start of my story because they were sent on missions. I was called to live a life of obedience to the Lord, and thought that also would be foreign missions at a young age. And the Lord then put my wife and I in Harlan, and He's left us there on purpose, and we're thankful for that. She works in community health ministry there in Harlan, which there's a big need for that as well. And so together we do have an opportunity to minister to our community. We love the people of Harlan County. Got a lot of connections there, obviously graduating high school. But the Lord's given us great partnerships with the local churches. We're able to work together with them through Christ Hands and see large gains in the people that we get to minister to who've never heard the gospel, even though we're in the Bible Belt. And so that's impactful itself. And so I'm just thankful for the opportunity to raise my family there and teach them what it is to serve the Lord.
Brian, again, we're so honored to be partnering with Brian in Eastern Kentucky and Christ Hands. It's just an honor. When I first met you many years ago, I've heard so many wonderful things about you, and I thought, I need to meet this man and see the work that he's doing. But Brian, we are speaking here, and we want to ask you, what are give me three special prayer needs that you have that we can be praying for you and for your ministry, your personal needs maybe, but for your ministry, because Feed the Hunger, we feed physical, we feed spiritual, but we're also a praying ministry. And how can we be praying for you?
We've experienced a lot of growth at Christ Hands in a short time, last couple of years, and we're in need of a warehouse. And so we're waiting patiently on the Lord to show us what that looks like. So you can pray for us in that, whether it means to just refocus in the areas that we're in and be more efficient and use what we have, or if that means it's time to take a step in growth and try to build our own facility, because they don't exist where we're at. There's not a lot of infrastructure when it comes to warehouses. So that's one thing. Another is to continue networking the kingdom of God there so we can get more churches on board with what we're doing. Feel like we have had a unique opportunity to minister into a lot of different communities in Harlan County and Bell County, Letcher and Leslie. But connecting with those churches in those communities is a big thing. And so we really want to focus on having a stronger network of churches across denominational lines where people will work together side by side. And we've seen success in that, but we need that to continue to happen to deliver food to homes in need. So those are two areas that we could use some prayer. And all that comes back down to finances. We're completely supported by individuals and churches and organizations like Christ Hands. And so the Lord has been faithful. He's always met that need, and we're expecting Him to do that again. And so we're just, we also are praying for what's next for us as far as how big of a step we take next.
Yes.
So we pray for that so we have wisdom.
Well, I do know we will be praying for you, but I do know that you are a man of faith. And if it's not there in front of you, you're believing that God will show the way and will be the provider.
Amen.
And that has shown time and time again with the work that Christ Hands does, that God always provides and meets those needs. And
Thank you.
we will be standing in faith as well with you and be in prayer that those needs will be met. And so I want to encourage you as well, if you're interested in some sort of mission trip, it's not an international trip, it is in Eastern Kentucky, and it's a wonderful way that your church, your family, all ages, can go and serve. It's at Christ Hands, where you'll work side by side with Brian and his team of volunteers and serving the community in the very hard-reached area of Eastern Kentucky in this coal mining community. Brian, thank you so much for coming. You bless us greatly. We're honored that you're a partner with Feed the Hunger.
All right,
Thank you. God bless you.
All right, Joseph. Well, Brian certainly has just a great personal testimony and powerful story in his walk with the Lord. And it's always inspiring when we as a staff get to go visit him and see the work that's taken place in Eastern Kentucky. But Joseph, why don't you take a moment to share with everyone how instrumental Kentucky has been in the journey of Feed the Hunger for just an outreach in America?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to go back to the founding of the ministry back in 1968 with the interracial singing group that was the core of this ministry. For years, the main ministry in America, in addition to all the mission work, was going into churches and singing, and my dad would preach. But when the singing group came to its conclusion around, let's say, 1990, the outreach in America pretty much stopped. And so when we got into food packing in 2010 after the Haiti earthquake, that's what really expanded us into really being about those basic hungers, but it was all exclusively distributed overseas. And so over the course of the next few years after 2010, it began to become a burden in my heart of, maybe we need to be doing this in America too. We need to be helping people in our own land. And so that's how we got connected with Lonnie and Belinda Riley with Marizzo Center Ministries in Lynch, Kentucky, which is the southeast corner of Kentucky. That is one of the poorest parts of our nation. And so I took the first trip there, I believe it was February of 2013. And so that's what led to where we are now, which is Brian is in charge of all the distribution. His Christ Hands warehouse is the hub of our food. So I was actually thinking, Scott, it just makes sense that the food we packed this weekend of the apple cinnamon oatmeal, we should go ahead and send some back with Brian, get that taste
great.
testing going,
Right. That's
but
right.
that,
That's a great
from
idea.
Kentucky, it spread to Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, and to that connection, which has been a really tough mission field, and getting to be trusted there, even with missionary presence. The Indians, the Native Americans have been so abused over the decades, and so much depression, so much alcoholism and drug use and suicide, and so it's just really struggled to take off. But recently the church is starting to thrive more, and they're also distributing more food, so we're excited about that. We're also helping at the border. So anyway, the point is that it started in Kentucky, and now it's spread. And of course, we encourage all our Packathon locations to keep a small percentage for distribution in their community as well.
That's right. And we are distributing or sharing food locally here in our county and surrounding counties. That's increasing since our move last year, of a lot of local food banks.
Yeah, I expect that to grow even more.
I agree.
But we want to be careful, because you can easily get into the
sure
shot approach
right.
of
and
giving food,
and in times of natural disaster and so forth. So it's been really great to see how God has used that relationship in Kentucky to kind of open up our hearts and minds to helping all of America in various ways, and in a meaningful way too. So it's
because it usually includes
great.
Bibles and things like that. And what I'm sharing at the retreat, and I've shared with the staff, is that our goal is that going forward, 20% of our food is kept in the U.S. for distribution. Now, that's hard for us to do as we currently exist without there being an annual hurricane, which no one's rooting for. But obviously, when you have what happened in our own state last year, I mean, that was almost 600,000 meals alone. That will be more likely that we'll hit the 20%. But as we said, we're carefully vetting other options throughout the U.S. for food distribution, because we do think it's important, and the need is here, obviously.
That's right. Well, 2025 is off to a start, as we've already mentioned, and we've already had a very significant mission trip overseas to Asia. So, Joseph, why don't you kind of report back on the trip in January that several of our staff took to various ministry partners in Asia.
Yeah, most of you should know by now that Bangladesh is currently not only our largest partnership in Asia, but in the world. The partnership there is so dynamic, helping in some of the most dangerous ways, in the brothels, in the refugee camp. It's just very humbling to be able to help people that are in some of the worst situations. And so the team was able to go there. Hope you've been seeing the updates in the emails we sent out, and probably the latest newsletter. But also, as a part of this trip, was first trip to Pakistan. We've been helping in Pakistan without our meal packets because you can't ship there yet. We're working on that. But Pakistan and Bangladesh are both Muslim countries, but the way they exercise their religion is a bit more conservative, I guess, and stricter, more strict. Stricter is even a word, I don't know. In Pakistan, the ladies that went, had to have their head covered. They couldn't even eat in restaurants. They couldn't, there was a lot of segregation of the sexes there. But I was just especially touched to hear Melinda, our chief ministry officer, share that is the most vibrant Christians
Right.
she's ever seen anywhere in the world. And she's extremely seasoned mission travel, been to over 50 countries and lived as a missionary and just to hear the joy of the Lord in the Pakistanis, that partnership's only going to grow because they do a great job of reporting. And Lord willing, you all can be praying that we can ship food in there as well.
Right. You mentioned that as a top prayer request. Is there any other top prayer need from either Bangladesh or Pakistan that's worth sharing for our friends to be praying for and with us?
The reality is that there's some measure of danger and persecution in a lot of the countries we work in. The staff and I just listened to one of my dad's sermons about ministering cross-culturally, and one of the things that he was sharing in that message was people are concerned, aren't you traveling to a country that has a travel warning, and doesn't that bother you? And he says, that's why we should be going. That's the way it should be, right?
Right.
So
that's right.
You accept that as a Christian, that you can walk out here and get hit by a bus tomorrow. Your life is already in God's hands. He's already numbered your days. You're not going to be foolhardy with your life, but you're called to lay down your life for the Lord. And so you can pray for our partners who do that in Pakistan and Bangladesh on a daily basis.
Right.
That they're dealing with family issues, health issues, in addition to all those things. That we can't share their names in this kind of context, but obviously the Lord, the Holy Spirit intercedes for us. And
that's right.
It's really specific with our groans and prayers. So I think that's just the main thing. It's just a general prayer request that the more you invade the dark, the bigger the target.
Yeah, well said. That's a good point. So, well, looking forward to the rest of 2025, at least early on here, what are some things on the horizon over the next few months that we are looking forward to at Feed the Hunger?
Yeah, so in regards to our new headquarters, it's great to be here. Everyone who's come here has been, especially if they saw the last place, which had run its course and served us well. Right. This is just a big step forward to be here. And so we continue to adjust and do some internal construction to help make this the best tool possible. So the next thing that's being constructed is prayer room and a media room. The prayer room is both for the staff to go corporately and individually to pray for specific things. We'll have a prayer board in there, but we're also going to be forming a local intercessory prayer team that comes in, not just prays in the room, but does prayer walks around the property. But we want that to be, one of the most active, vital rooms in the whole place. And then right next to it will be the media room, which is where we'll remaster some of my dad's messages, because I don't feel like we've been able to get out periodically his written work, which the next one I think people will be receiving soon, or at least have an option to access it electronically on our website, is the Storms of Life that he did on. Most of us will face all these storms at some point in our life. So you'll find that to be a really helpful resource. But just to remaster his audio, hopefully we can track down some more video, but also just our own. Maybe we'll do the webcast in there some. We just need a soundproof room that we can do more in this social media world. So those are the two main things that are being constructed next.
Yes, that's right. And related to the building, we have a little further maybe to be completed later this year is what we're calling our walkthrough experience in our Packathon part. One of the great blessings of this building and new facility is that, as you know, we can host packing sessions, whether it's food packing, hygiene packing, or the writing kits, EduPack. People can come here, and there's a dedicated space that we can just turn the lights on and be ready to pack. In fact, for the Western North Carolina hurricane relief, we had 1,400 people come in about 8 days time, I think, and a little over a week. And most of those were brand new to Feed the Hunger. They just heard this is a way to hands-on help, and they came to our
Yeah,
facility.
I heard it's at least half are new people that have not been here before at this point.
Right, and so it's just exciting to be able to welcome local people in to come and pack that are within drivable distance of our headquarters. And so one of the things that we have plans to do later this year is what we call a walkthrough experience. And it's an opportunity to kind of walk and immerse yourself into what it would be like in the environment where this food is distributed outside of the United States. And there's going to be 3 parts to this experience. The first is going to be just a typical home. Most of our food is passed out in really impoverished areas. And so we're talking, dirt floors, no electricity, no running water in the homes. I mean, you're going to very quickly figure out that you're just not in Kansas anymore. And so we're looking forward to having that opportunity for people to see what it looks like. And the size of the homes is similar to the size of one of our rooms in our house. And it's the entire home for the entire family. So that's going to be part of it. The second part is going to be a classroom environment. A lot of our food is distributed in a feeding program, so there's education involved, there's biblical devotion. And so we're going to see what it looks like to be maybe a 4th grade student in, say, in a rural part of Ghana or in Bangladesh or some other place. And the final part will be what a cafeteria looks like. And I think most people that are watching this have at least seen pictures and images through newsletters or videos that there's no sanitation grade rated A+ cafeteria that the food is prepared in. A lot of times it's just out in the open air in a big cauldron under a log fire. And so we want to just create those 3 experiences, those 3 different separate environments that people can walk through leading into the food packing or the hygiene packing area, and help them just more fully grasp where this food goes, the everyday lives of those who are benefiting from it.
Yeah, I think we should have a lucky winner from every Packathon that packs here to have to spend the weekend in our walkthrough experience.
Yes,
to really
right.
Appreciate what it's like.
There you go. Yeah, that would be funny. So look for that drawing real soon once we get it completed. So I'm sure everybody will sign up for that raffle, right? Also, we have plans this year. We want to work on growing some just regional centers and areas. We have plans to go deeper in Texas, in South Carolina, and in the Northeast. We already hold several events in those locations. We feel like there's a natural place for those to only expand, but it's not just acquiring new events. It's actually also acquiring more team members that can help us in those areas with the packing, the increased packing there. So it's not as much of a requirement or an ask for our team from North Carolina to go to all these places. And I would say Texas is furthest along. There's already lots of events we do annually in Texas where it's handled by our Texas staff. So we're excited to see where God grows us in those regional locations in Texas and South Carolina and in the Northeast.
Yeah, I mean, it's also worth mentioning that last year in particular, you just figured it out. The percentages that 40% of all food that we did was serviced out of Texas.
That's right. Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean packed in the state of Texas. It meant from our warehouse in Texas. It was going to places that are closer to Texas than our North Carolina headquarters for sure. So that 40% is substantial. So that was a move
we did out of necessity during the pandemic because of prices and logistics.
That's right.
Logistical challenges, and it's just stayed that way, which is fine. I mean, that's why it just gives us peace that we made the right decision.
Right. That's right. And what else, Joseph's on the horizon for this year?
We are going to be researching a spiritual packathon. I know that sounds mysterious. We have the 4 areas, which is Bibles, meal packets, hygiene kits, and edupacks. Well, we can't do let's put a Bible together packathon.
Right.
So what we're researching this year is, for lack of a better description, would be a packet that contains VBS-like materials. So crafts for kids to do that have a spiritual perspective,
Yeah.
but they have to be in such a way that it doesn't raise the alarms of some of the countries we send to. So in other words, one of the crafts we're pretty confident is going to be in there is the bracelet that has different color beads, and those beads stand for part of the Bible story. So where we send them, we'll have the explanation, this is how you do the craft with the kids. But to an outsider from another religion or a country that's not friendly to the Christian perspective, they're going to see it as a harmless craft. So you can pray for that. That's probably going to be an extensive journey to come up with not only the right items and the effective items, but because the packathon is a mass experience, it's got to work in the right margins too, price wise.
Right.
So that's what made the journey with the hygiene kits and the writing kits with EduPack a long journey, because just like the food as well, we got to make sure it works financially, but most importantly, it works as an effective outreach and is received well, and it's making a difference. And not something we're just doing to pat ourselves on the back, right? When we're motivated to change lives for God's glory. And so
that's right.
This packet, if we succeed, will impact lives obviously for eternity. So I'm hopefully optimistic.
That's right. That's right. And then finally, there's designs on diversifying our hygiene area. Why don't you discuss that?
Yeah,
Jason?
not so much diversifying. It's coming up with a domestic, meaning a U.S. version of the hygiene pack. We wanted to be standard, that we send it all around the world with the same 4 items. And so we have standardized that. We're pretty confident in the soap, washcloth / napkin, the Band-Aids, and the toothbrush.
Right.
That's been pretty consistently well received, but as everyone knows, in the U.S., those would not necessarily be the 4 items someone would want in an hour of need or in a shelter or things like that. So because there's a reduced cost, because it doesn't include international shipping and distribution, we're researching this year to see, okay, can we add a shampoo? Because liquids, as you know, are a big no-no when we're shipping overseas, but distributing them domestically is no problem. Toothpaste, all those things that are more useful in our Western culture. That's another thing that hopefully, let's just say by the last webcast of this year, which I think we normally do in November, maybe,
Right.
We'll have good news on both of these packets.
Yes. So we invite you to join us in praying for progress in those areas. As Joseph said, we're not just looking to do it. We want it to be meaningful, and be valuable to those who are receiving it, and be a real blessing to them in a tangible way. So, all right. Well, let's wrap things up here. We appreciate you spending your time with us, and hopefully these updates have encouraged you. And just a couple of announcements or things on the horizon. We do have our spring food packing event that's going to take place May 1st through 3rd here at our headquarters in Greensboro. So we welcome the local community to come and help us pack food in that spring event. We also have lots of mission trips planned that it's possible for you if you're interested in traveling with us and seeing that firsthand. So Joseph, you want to maybe go through the roster of where some of the trips are?
Ultimately, they should go to the website for dates, because sometimes they get tweaked or a trip gets moved for various reasons, which they do happen. But we have 2 trips to Africa this summer, and to Jamaica and Kentucky in early fall that do have some space available, and we can begin to help you on that journey of, is this the right trip for you, and what are the expectations and things like that. But it's a great chance to see everything come full circle if you've been a part of a Packathon, to see the food get distributed, to see, sometimes we collect for Bibles at the end of a Packathon to be able to hand those Bibles out, and the hygiene kits and the writing kits as well. It's just, you go expecting to serve the people, and every time you're going to be the one feeling like you are more blessed than the people that you blessed. And so that's a great thing about mission trips.
That's right. That's right. So, and as always, we just want to remind you of the Feed the Hunger app, and to follow us on social media. There's several updates that we're able to put out through those vehicles that aren't sent out in other forms, such as email or the newsletters or other types of updates. So if you really want to stay plugged in, those are the best two ways to do that. Follow us on social media: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Feed the Hunger Inc. is how you'll find us. And then through either the Google Store or the App Store, you can find the Feed the Hunger app. And there's great devotional content there to help you in your studies, and readings and so forth that have been produced from Feed the Hunger team members. And also there's ability to follow food around the world through that app more easily, where you see, okay, the food's left the headquarters and it's made it to this port and customs, and now it's out, and now it's being in the field, distributed in the field, and you can see great pictures from that. So we want to just thank you, our faithful Feed the Hunger friends and partners. Thank you for your support and your giving. God's using it to glorify himself. He's using it to bring more people into the kingdom of God around the world, but also to build up those in the faith and increase their faith who are believers already. And so it's all made possible through your giving and through your prayers. So we just appreciate you and are thankful to be in partnership with you in the gospel all around the world, including the U.S.
Thank you all. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.